Hi everybody! In today's video I am going to show you how to make the Filet Crochet heart bookmark. Now some of you might know this already, but I am doing a Filet Crochet calendar crochet along blanket this year, and we are doing Filet Crochet for each month. So I thought it would be helpful for me to go through an entire pattern of Filet Crochet, and what better than a little bookmark. So I'm going to work this bookmark up with you today, and it's a much smaller scale than our blanket is. As you can see, it is bookmark size, and so if you're having any issues with working up the Filet Crochet patterns for that blanket, this will be a much smaller, much easier project to start with, and then you can go back to the blanket and work away at that as well. So this bookmark here was made with a very fine 3-weight yarn and a 2mm crochet hook. For the tutorial I am going to use a 4-weight yarn and a 4.5mm crochet hook, and it will size up, but it will be much easier for you to see what I'm doing using the bigger weight yarn and a little bit bigger hook. But if you want to make the bookmark, I suggest using a finer weight yarn and a steel crochet hook. If you want an even smaller bookmark than this, as you can see, this one still is quite wide, but it's still nice for a bookmark. To start, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook and chain 24. Now already you can see that this chain is going to be much larger than using a smaller weight yarn and a smaller crochet hook. Once you have your 24 chains, we're going to work a double crochet back into the 4th chain away from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you look at the graph, and remember we read the graphs right to left on odd rows and left to right on even rows. So row 1 and row 2 are all shaded in. A shaded in square is a block which is all double crochets. So rows 1 and 2, we're just going to double crochet into each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 1, you're going to want to double crochet into the very last chain of your foundation chain, and that is row 1, reading right to left. Again, row 2 is solid filled in squares, which means they're all double crochets. Every row starts with a chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. We're going to turn. We've already counted for this stitch here with that chain 3, so we're going to work a double crochet into the next and into every stitch all the way across. When you get to the end, you will also need a double crochet in this turning chain, so the top of that chain 3 here, because that is a stitch. And like I said, into that top of your chain. So every row begins with a chain 3, which counts, and every row ends with a double crochet into the top of your turning chain. So there is rows 1 and 2. So we're on row 3. Rows 3 through 6 from the graph is the motif repeat. So you can make this as long as you want by just repeating rows 3 through 6 and then adding 2 rows of double crochet in between those motifs. So I'm going to show you how to do rows 3 through 6, and I will also show you how to put this little heart toggle on the end if you're making the bookmark. So remember, row 3, we're reading from right to left. We need 3 blocks of space and 3 blocks. A block is equal to 4 double crochets. A space is equal to a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. The last double crochet that you do in a square counts as the first double crochet or stitch of the next square. So I'm going to chain 3, and I need 3 blocks. So I've already got stitch number 1 and double crochet number 1 on the end. I need 3 more to create our first block, so a double crochet in the next 3, and there is block number 1. This last double crochet is the first double crochet of the next block, so I need a double crochet in the next 3. Two blocks, 1 more block. So because this last stitch counts as the first stitch of the next block, I need a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Three blocks. Reading the graph, the next square is an open square, which is a space. A space is a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. We already have our first double crochet because the last double crochet of our last square counts as the first double crochet of our next square. So that's a double crochet. We're going to chain 2, skip 2, and double crochet right into the next, and that creates our space. Now from the graph you can see that every other square is shaded in. That means all double crochets. So just work a double crochet into every stitch all the way back down, and a double crochet into the top of your turning chain as well. At the end, I'm just going to work a double crochet into the top of that turning chain. Row 3. Row 4, we're reading left to right, chain 3 to start, turn. We're going to start with 2 blocks, so I'm going to double crochet in the next 3, four double crochets equals 1 block, double crochet in the next 3 for block number 2, and now we need 3 spaces. So we've already got our double crochet to start that next space square. I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. We're going to work a space right over this space. I'm going to chain 2, skip those 2, and double crochet into the next. There's our 2 spaces. 1 more space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next, and we've got our 3 spaces. Looking at the graph, we have all shaded in squares, which means all double crochets. And don't forget a double crochet in the top of your turning chain to finish the row. Row 4. For row 5, we're reading right to left. We're going to chain 3, turn. We need 1 box on the end, so I'm going to work a double crochet into the next 3 stitches. There's our first box. Now we need all open spaces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 more, and then we'll have our box here. So I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. There's my first space. I'm going to work 4 more spaces. So chain 2, skip those 2 spaces, and a double crochet in the next, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. I've got 4 total spaces. I need 1 more according to the graph. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. That last double crochet counts as the first stitch in the shaded box. So 1, 2, 3, and a double crochet in the top of the turning chain to create our box. So a block, 5 spaces, and a block on the end. And that is row 5. We're going to start with a chain 3, counts as a double crochet, turn our work. We need 1 block on the end, so I'm going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. There's our first block. 2 spaces, so I'm going to work a space over the top of these 2 spaces. So that's just a chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next, another space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next, now we need a block over the top of this space. We already have the first stitch or double crochet of that block. I'm going to work a double crochet into those 2 chain stitches. Try to work into the actual chains and not into the space. It will just make your work look a little better, although sometimes those chains are hard to get into, and if you're in a hurry and you can't get into those chains easily, then it's perfectly fine to work into those spaces. And a double crochet into the top of the next stitch. So there is our block on top of the space. We now need 2 more spaces. So chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next, and to create our block on the end, I'm going to double crochet into those last 3 stitches. And now you've got a heart motif in your fabric. The next 2 rows are just double crochet, and this is just those 2 double crochet rows that separate the filet crochet heart. You can add more than 2 rows if you want a wider strip in between those motifs. If you're making a larger project using this pattern, you can do that as well. So for mine, this is actually a pretty nice size for like a coaster. So you could just make this one motif like I'm doing for the tutorial and use it as a coaster. So I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to work 2 rows of double crochet into every stitch, and then I will show you how to put the toggle, the heart toggle, on at the end if you're making the bookmark. So I finished my 2 rows on top of that heart motif in filet crochet. So rows 7 and 8. Now if you're making the bookmark and you want to keep adding motifs, you would just repeat rows 3 through 6, separated by 2 rows of double crochet, or however many rows you want to separate your filet crochet hearts, and then just repeat row 3 through 6, then do some rows of double crochet, rows 3 through 6, double crochet, rows 3 through 6 for as tall as you want your bookmark to be. So for this tutorial, I'm just working the one heart. We're now going to work the little toggle at the end of your bookmark. You can chain as many chains as you want this chain to be. So the length of your chain before you start the heart. So I like to just chain a bunch and then sort of lay it down to see how long it's going to be. Once you have the chain length that you want, I'm just going to add a few more, you're going to slip stitch back into the third from hook. So 1, 2, 3, that third chain from your hook, just slip stitch and you'll create the tiniest of spaces. I'm going to flip my heart over, chain 2, and now we're going to be working into the center of that little ring that we just made. Sometimes it's hard to find, so as long as you're getting kind of close into that center, you should be fine. We're going to work 3 trebles, so we're going to wrap our yarn twice, put your hook into that center ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2, yarn over, back through 2, yarn over, back through 2. That's 1 treble. I'm going to work 2 more into that same space in that ring. There's our 3 trebles. We're now going to work 3 doubles, and you can see the space does get bigger the more stitches you put into that center ring. So 3 doubles into that ring, chain 1, we're going to work 1 treble, chain 1, 3 doubles, and you don't want to work over the top of this, so just kind of keep it to the side so you don't work over it. So we have our 3 doubles, we're going to work 3 trebles, chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch right back into that center ring that we've been working in, and we have a heart. Now I like to just slip stitch into the first or second chain in the back just to kind of attach it back onto that chain. And now you've got a heart toggle. Bookmark size and coaster size. You can see what a difference it makes using smaller yarn weight and a smaller crochet hook compared to just a little bit bigger of a weight yarn and crochet hook. You can size this one down further by using crochet thread or a much finer weight yarn and a much smaller crochet hook as well. These make great gifts, and it's great practice if you're new to filet crochet and you want to practice on a smaller scale project. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Until next time, happy filet crocheting. Bye!